It's the Dream It Alive show. I'm your host, Ash Kumra, co-founder of DreamItAlive.com. DreamItAlive.com is a global community that guides you to create your dream life with visualization tools, dream boards, and helpful personal development content. Best of all, it's free to join, so why not become the best version of yourself? Check out DreamItAlive.com. So there's hustlers, and then there is hustlers. And I would say that our guest is the latter. Lisa Sutton is, as you know, the Miss Nevada United States 2014 recipient. She is an uber entrepreneur. She has a thriving real estate business. She has an awesome food business. And she also does a lot of other businesses and does a lot for the community, both locally in Las Vegas and nationally. And she's just a fascinating person. I mean, why I wanted her on the show is because I really feel that she understands what it takes to leverage her brand, her multiple businesses, to kind of keep the hustle, the entrepreneurship, the dream life going. And I'm really curious to learn how she got to where she is right now. You know, what advice she can give to us dreamers out there that want to achieve this amazing life like she has, and also just, you know, learn about what she's up to and, you know, see how we can support her causes. So, Lisa, how you doing?
Hi, Ash. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. You're quite a busy cat.
Yes, my schedule is certainly very varied, and definitely don't do the same thing every day, which I think keeps it interesting and fun.
Okay. Well, let's get to know you. Tell us about your journey. How did you get to where you are right now?
Sure. Well, I'm originally from South Korea. I was born there, and then I moved to the U.S. with my parents when I was very young, around 5. And I was raised in Arizona. I went to college at the University of Arizona, and then subsequently went to graduate school at the University of Miami. And now I live in fabulous Las Vegas. You know, I really credit the modeling industry, actually, with where I am today, in addition, of course, to my parents' love and support. When I was in college and undergrad, I was approached by Scout for some modeling opportunities, and it ended up taking me on a really fantastic career, and I modeled all through college and grad school. And the lessons that I learned from that, of realizing that you're the face of a brand or you're the face of an organization, have helped me to build the businesses that I have, as well as be a successful Miss Nevada United States.
That's awesome. Well, I want to understand a little more about your journey as a model then, because that clearly has a big impact on you. I mean, you've done over 70 print campaigns. You actually have launched a swimwear. You know, you just won this awesome title. Yes. I mean, so I guess the whole modeling experience is like kind of like your own version of an MBA, right?
Absolutely. It was true experience, feet on the ground, grassroots effort, in the sense of, if you were to just compare it to like a case study for school. But for me, my modeling career really took off when I was in Florida, because in South Florida, in Miami Beach, there are so many beautiful women. However, there are very, very few Asian models, at least at that time, when I moved there in 2006. So I was actually one of 3 that were signed with our agency, and that was it. Out of all these beautiful women who lived down there, we were the only Asian models, and so it was really to my advantage that I was one of so few, because I was able to get a lot of the bookings and print work, and anytime that they needed diversity, guess who got the role? It was me. So it just helped me really build my portfolio. It exposed me to working with some of the world's best photographers and their staff. And I just, you know, made sure that I stayed in touch with everyone and really networked. And, you know, I made some of my best friends from the modeling industry. And actually my current business partner with Sin City Cupcakes, Danielle, she and I met modeling in Florida.
That's awesome. And I want to get to Sin City in a second. I want to kind of dive a little further into this modeling kind of experience that you had, because one of the things I really loved what you just said is that you talked about how, you know, you stood out from the crowd. I mean, you were one out of several people, Asian specifically, that got this opportunity. Now, this is very helpful for other people who sometimes need to stand out in a crowded industry. I'll give you a great example. If you are, playing for a basketball team, and if the average player is 6'9" and you're like 6'2", you got to do something very extraordinary to stand out. Or if you're in a certain industry where it's very, very crowded and you have something totally different, how are you going to get attention? My question to you on that is how do you stand out in those situations? Like, what mindset did you have to make yourself stand out? It's not just that, they were looking for, let's say, that typecast, beautiful Asian woman. You must have done something to show them, wow, this girl really wants this bad.
I think for me, it's really having a strong sense of self. You encounter a lot of different personalities and types of people, especially in the modeling industry, but obviously in any industry, but more so in the modeling industry. And unfortunately, you encounter a lot of young women who don't have a strong sense of self. They need some sort of exterior motivation or exterior validation, and even though they can appear so confident in print or in film, they actually are very, very insecure young women. And so for me, because I knew that I was a full-time student, I had other plans in relation to what a career choice was. Modeling was never a career choice for me. It just always happened to work out, and it was a fun side gig while I was in school was always the mindset that I had. And so I think because I didn't place such an emphasis on it and just say, I've grown up wanting to be a model. That's all I want to be. That's all I want to do. Instead, I looked at it as a fun, unique opportunity, and I was thankful that this was my side job, modeling, instead of, having to go work retail or work, in food like some of my other classmates. And so I think that helped me stand out a lot, just having that strong sense of self and going into auditions with a big smile on my face and, sometimes realizing, hey, if I'm not what they're looking for, that's okay. There's a lot of rejection in the modeling industry as well. And I always weathered that with a smile on my face because I never took it personal. It wasn't a knock against me personally, and I knew that. Okay.
No, that's cool. And I appreciate you, sharing your personal kind of journey beyond that. And I love your resilience. It clearly shows in this interview. Even the energy from your voice, it's just like, you just do whatever it takes. It's awesome. It's cool because like when I have a casual talk with you, like when I talked to you yesterday or like when you're just talking, you sound very like friendly and very nice. But then when you talk about like what it takes to win, you have this razor sharp voice. It's so cool. I love it.
Thank you. I'm very competitive. But I am a team player. Absolutely. But I'm very competitive, and I'm just so thankful for all the blessings in my life, and that's really what keeps me motivated. I truly can wake up every day and be excited about my responsibilities.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know we haven't met in person yet, but the one thing you will immediately know within the first day of meeting me is that I'm the hugest foodie known to man. And when I found out that you have a cupcake company, I was just like, okay, I got to dive into this. So tell us a little about how that happened and what's your vision for that?
Sure. So Sin City Cupcakes is Las Vegas's only alcohol-infused cupcake company. We have the largest variety of flavors available nationwide. And it started on a bit of a whim. My dear friend Danielle is like a sister to me. She and I met in the modeling industry in Florida, as I mentioned previously. And I subsequently, after graduation from the University of Miami, I moved to Las Vegas in 2010. And obviously, we just stayed in touch because she still lived in Florida at the time. So now fast forward to end of 2011, she and I were chatting on the phone. Hey, what have you been up to recently? Catching up. And she told me about how she had been making these alcohol cupcakes for her mom's parties and events. And I said, what? Tell me more about this. And she sent me pictures and told me how popular they were. And it just really got the wheels turning. And, mind you, at this time I was full-time working at a law firm at that point and modeling. And I, just really got the wheels turning. I mean, Las Vegas is a destination city. This is where people come to overspend, overindulge, buy and do things you're not going to buy and do at home. And before I moved here, every time that I came to Las Vegas, it was for some sort of a celebration, whether it was a birthday or a bachelorette party or a reunion, whatever it was. You were here to celebrate. You're here to have a good time. And so I called Danielle back and I said, would you be open to moving to Las Vegas to start an alcohol-infused cupcake company with me here? And it was a big question to ask. It was a lot to ask of someone, to move across the country on a perhaps flight of fancy. And she's like, let me call you back. She thought about it, called me up, and said that she was moving across the country. We started the company early part of 2012, and we were so blessed to have it take off. Within the first 4 months of operation, we were profiled by Fox News Business International. And so that segment was distributed not only throughout the United States, but also Canada, Mexico, the UK, Australia. It was hitting all of these television sets where people were planning their Las Vegas vacation. And so now we have customers who contact us weeks or even months in advance while they're planning their Las Vegas vacation, and Sin City Cupcakes is on their to-do list.
That is awesome. And so you're basically saying that, one of the things that helped you early on was this Fox segment piece. So how do you, again, this is an example of how you use leverage. Like, how could someone, let's say early on, starting a business, let's say it's similar to your business, let's just say it is a, cake business, okay? Very similar companies. It's a cake business, and, it's totally new. Like you did alcohol-infused cupcakes, which is at that time, very new, and they want to do something
niche,
totally niche.
It's like,
how do you get noticed?
I would definitely recommend. Yeah,
Yes.
I would definitely recommend having concentration on a niche market and recognizing who your customer base would be. Like I said, it will be mostly at the very beginning just serviced tourists. And now, we've expanded out to convention clients, wedding clients, corporate clients, liquor companies, that sort of thing. But in the very beginning, it was just tourists. The way that I would recommend getting exposure, the way that Fox News has even heard about us was because, Danielle and I, we took a page out of our modeling days with being a spokesmodel for Jack Daniels, Heineken, Bud Light. We were, the Jack Daniels girls, all that stuff. We had done that for years as liquor spokesmodels. And so we took a page out of that and basically filmed ourselves with these cupcakes in swimsuits. And so that particular YouTube video went viral. And that's how Fox News has heard about us, because they were like, who are these two girls pretending to be bakers? Like, what is going on? What is this? And so they called us up, and they said they were doing a segment on alcohol in Las Vegas. And they said, are you guys a bakery? We were like, yes, we're a bakery. And so they were like, okay, well, can we come film you guys over there? And we were like, yeah. And that's how it turned into a segment.
That is awesome. You know what you remind me when you say that whole experience? Richard Branson is known for doing unusually crazy stunts. I remember when I read that he was trying to launch a bridal business, so he clean shaven and dressed up as a bride, or when he wanted to do his airline at the time, he did a skydive. It's what you're saying is totally synonymous with that. So for anyone out there who's like, whoa, that's a little risque. No, it's not. You're just doing what it takes to get noticed and to get using your leverage to get the attention. And you did it in a fun, sexy manner. But hey, it got the attention of Fox News, so it worked, right?
It did, yeah. It got their attention, and that's the other thing too. Obviously our staff, it's all young females, right? Who work for the company, and obviously the owners are young females. But I think what people sometimes don't remember is that the majority of our demographic of clients are women. It's not men.
Wow.
Who buys cupcakes?
Yeah.
Women, right?
Sure.
Who plans events and birthday parties and bachelorette parties and things like that? It's women. So we do have to be cognizant of pushing our brand in a fun, flirty, sometimes cheeky way, but we are never trashy. We do keep it, like I said, cognizant of who our target client is. It's women. It's not men.
That's amazing. Well, I loved hearing that. Let's talk about your swimwear line. So that's a great example of how you've leveraged your modeling and the other things that you're doing around entertainment to create a swimwear line. Why is that? Why did you do that?
So I've realized with the swimwear, I've been so blessed to be the spokesmodel and face for various swimwear companies over the years, and through those experiences, I made a lot of contacts in the fashion industry, retail industry, merchandising, designers, as well as other models. And the way this came about, I have a dear friend of mine who is my business partner with Liquid and Lace with the swimwear line. He's based in the Netherlands, and he has some great connections in Europe. And he and I were literally just brainstorming one day about just some modeling endeavors that I had going on. And he was like, God, that'd be so great if you were just the face of your own brand. And I said, well, I don't know. I think that sounds kind of, it's a little bit too much. I didn't want to be the face of my own brand, but it got the wheels turning of what if I was behind a swimwear line. I have the connections that I've made through, previous years of being experienced in it. And I was just like, this might be fun. Let's try it out and do it. And so, we started it up, and it's been fantastic. We did our launch party at the Aria here in Las Vegas in July, and we just shot our 2015 swimwear pieces last month, and we're getting ready to do our big marketing push to South America and Australia because it's getting ready to be summertime there. So everything's wonderful with it. We're having so much fun.
Yeah, no, well, I bet you get to save money by being in the swimwear, and you own the swimwear line, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's all a learning experience. I'm definitely not an expert in any of this, but I'm so lucky to have really great mentors and people who can guide me through their respective paths and their experiences.
Well, let's dive.
Been a lot of fun.
I want to dive into that for a little bit. Then we're going to get into your journey for winning your current title. What role have mentors played, and and also label some specific advice that they've given you?
Certainly. I think, having people that you can count on to call, whether it's something big or small, when you have a question, is just invaluable. So, really building those networks and relationships and maintaining them too. I mean, a relationship takes work. It's just like even having like a personal relationship. You have a personal, obviously non-romantic, but it's a personal relationship with each of these people. And so, I, of course, try to be available for any resources that I could provide, but especially in the beginning when we were starting up a lot of these businesses, it was, me calling friends of mine who are chefs and restaurateurs and asking them, which distribution channels do they use? Who's their food supply? Where do they get their dairy from? Like, just little nitpicky questions like that you don't find out from sitting in the classroom or reading about an article online. Yeah. You have to hear it from people who are in the industry, and they have to tell you what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them, and then you make the judgment call based on what your needs are for your business.
That's cool. No, I really appreciate that. That's some good insight. Let's talk about your title. I meet a lot of people that are in the beauty pageant industries, you could say, and some have won, some haven't won, and I'm always fascinated with the whole process of what you had to do to win this. I don't know if people realize, but there's so much work behind the scenes.
How much work it takes.
How much work it takes. The sponsors, the constant, the talent segments. You probably have to practice your lines if you got asked those hard questions, like how do you cure world hunger and all that stuff. So how do you tell us about this journey? I mean, I really want to know what you had to go through to win this.
Absolutely. Well, so for me, I guess I will just, make a disclaimer that each girl has a different journey, and each queen has a different experience during her year of service. Some girls, they work really hard and they win their state title, and they do a few appearances here and there, and then they come back and crown her successor, and that's about it. Other girls, They do a lot of community service. Other girls do a lot of modeling. It just depends on the individual girl and what her journey is and what she wants to get out of it. Again, it goes back to that having that sense of self and kind of a little bit of a sense of direction. So for me personally, I was so excited to take on this role. I started my journey as Miss Las Vegas, actually November of last year, so it's been a year. Started my journey as Miss Las Vegas. And in preparing for the state pageant, which was coming up in May at that time, I really just hit it hard as far as getting out there and being part of the community. I executed over 160 appearances as Miss Las Vegas throughout the Valley. And that was promoting my public service platform, which is empowering women through face-to-face community care, and working with various charitable organizations, as well as one that I sit on the board of here as well. And I was just out there among the community, and it's really like it's a grassroots effort. It's almost like being a politician with a crown on your head. You're shaking hands, you're kissing babies, and you are constantly on. You need to smile. You need to be out there. And, it upsets me when I see title holders who are out there and someone asks for a photo and they say they're too busy. No, this is your year of service. You need to put a smile on your face, and you need to be gracious. So for me, I have a wonderful mentor in the pageant industry. Her name is Diane Denegris, and she's a former Mrs. World. And she taught me from very young that this is a privilege. This is an honor to be selected. And so you get 1 year, you get this finite amount of time to really make an impact. So that's something that I always had in the back of my mind. I really wanted to have a strong focus on community service. And then, of course, in preparing for the Miss Nevada pageant, I concentrated on the 4 areas of competition, which are interview, swimsuit, evening gown, and onstage question. So those 4 areas, you're talking custom swimsuit, custom evening gown. I was working with a designer. We were doing all these fittings. And then interview and onstage question, they're kind of bundled in the same in the sense that your preparation for both is very similar. I actually worked with a pageant coach. His name is Bill Alverson, and they call him the Nick Saban of pageant coaching.
Wow.
He is an attorney. Yeah, he's an attorney in Alabama, and his whole emphasis is on communication. And, we call him the Nick Saban of pageant coaching because he coaches winners. And so I had heard great references about him, and so I reached out. He doesn't take on everybody. I reached out, and we had a phone conversation and a Skype conversation, and he agreed to take me on as a client. So like I said, at that time I was in Las Vegas preparing for the Miss Nevada state pageant. And he and I had weekly sessions, coaching sessions, and it was all about communication. It was all about really, like I said, having a strong sense of self, because when someone asks you a question, if you don't have an idea, it's questions about you. If I asked you, Ash, tell me 3 qualities about yourself that you think would be helpful in your year of service as Miss Nevada, United States. You have to know yourself to be able to even think of 3 qualities.
Wow.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I want to dive in for a second. Right. I love what you just said because, there's so much, let me restate this. There is such a need for people, or at least some people, to realize how important it is to know yourself and truly be authentic when you give answers. I have a great buddy of mine. He's a peak performance coach, Scott Lopez, and he talks about how he is the exact same person with whoever he's with, whether he's on a date, whether he's with his bros, whether he's with his family. He's that same version, and it showed to me, wow, you just need to be the more authentic you are, the more positive energy not only will you exude, but the more positive energy that people will see in you, and they'll just want you to be in their world. And I feel that you did that when you explained that. Am I right?
Absolutely. People love transparency, and they can tell whether you're a pageant judge or if you're just a person or a consumer of your business or whoever it is. You can tell. You can tell when someone is giving you a canned answer. And so that was what we did. We did weekly coaching sessions. And, of course, I was working on my walk. I was working on everything. And so by the time that the state pageant weekend rolled around in May, I felt super prepared. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize, the private interview is before the pageant. It takes place before the show part of it. So my point with that is that the very first time that the judges meet you as a contestant is in that private interview. They have a 2-page bio of you and an 8x10 headshot of you. And perhaps they've Googled you beforehand. And that's about it. That's all they know. So if you walk into that interview confident and you know yourself and you are just on that day, they're going to score you high. It's human nature. If you meet someone in an interview and she's fantastic, you're excited to see her that evening on stage. She might have an okay swimsuit. You're still going to score her higher because she's fantastic. You loved her. If you hated her in an interview, and she was like rude, or she was condescending, or she was flaky, or whatever it was, like some, negative vibe that you got off of her, she could come out in the most amazing gown that night, and you still might think to yourself, oh, she looks okay. It's human nature. So interview for me, even though they're all weighted evenly in the sense that they're 25, 25, 25, 25 to equal 100 of your score, interview, because it's first, that to me was the most important area of competition.
That's such there's so many questions I can ask you from that whole statement. But the thing that really I'm curious about is, how do you figure out who your authentic self is? I'll give you an example just for context. One of the biggest reasons why I'm on board DreamItAlive.com, and I'm always pitching DreamItAlive.com, and the reason why I'm doing the show leveraging my experience with DreamItAlive.com is because I believe that what we offer, the dream board and the visualization tools, helps me at least become the best version of myself. It helps me figure out, what do I want in my life? Am I chasing passions or am I chasing trends? And naturally you want to chase passions. What have you done to help figure out who you are? From being an entrepreneur to realizing you want to be in the the fashion and pageant worlds, and launching things like this Sin City Cupcakes and other things. What have you done? Is spiritually, goal setting wise? I want to know the mind of how you work, because I'm sure a lot of people would want to get inspired by that.
I have to say, I credit pageantry as far as the most recent experiences. I credit pageantry because, like I said, you really have to have a strong sense of self and know who you are to feel confident in whether it's strutting around your swimsuit, for a panel of 5 strangers, or going into that interview, and just really feeling passionate about why you want this job, because your year of service is a job. And before that, I guess I credit my parents and really realizing, in my upbringing that I had, I'm an only child. And so I had the opportunity to be put in a lot of different extracurricular activities and try everything. And the things that I excelled at, that's what I stayed in, and that's what they helped support me in. So I learned early on, you should concentrate on your strengths. I think being well-rounded is extremely important, but concentrate on your strengths, because that's what's going to help carry you. That's what's going to help build your successes. I grew up Catholic, and unfortunately, I'm not as good of a Catholic as I used to be, in the sense that I don't go to church every Sunday. However, I think spirituality is a really important role, and I think believing in sort of higher power and pursuing causes that are bigger than yourself. So whether that's having time to volunteer or being a mentor to someone, it's important to have those areas in your life where you're giving, so that way you're able to have that self-reflection. Even though you're giving, you're actually receiving as well.
That's awesome. I love that. I thank you for sharing that part of you. It was really, really deep. I felt it.
Well, thank you. No, of course. I think what you're doing is really fantastic, and I think there's a strong need for, especially that visualization, the vision boards or whatever it is. I've done a few, and I think having that visualization there and really just letting the universe know, it's very secret-esque, right? Letting the universe know what your intentions are and making those strong declarations. I make a lot of strong declarations during my weeks, and I do them almost subconsciously now.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I would try to make sure I was making strong declarations about what I wanted to do with that week, or what my goal was, or whatever it was. I would make really strong, positive declarations. And I think it's a great habit to have, because, like I said, you'll find yourself doing it subconsciously. And again, you're putting it out there, but then you're also implementing. Action and implementation is 80% of the success that you're able to obtain.
Okay. Well, let's dive into some. Let's just dive into some of the causes you support, and then we have a couple audience questions. Tell us about this foundation. You had mentioned to me yesterday that you're on the board of this amazing foundation, Fundamental Elements Foundation.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and why is it so important to you?
It's a wonderful organization. So I actually am a co-founder of it with a dear friend of mine, Dr. Tara Raines. She's a psychologist here in Las Vegas and a professor at UNLV. And she had been doing work for quite some time here in Las Vegas and also runs a program down in Ecuador. And so when she was telling me about these mental health services and programs she was providing in Ecuador, I was like, that is so amazing. I said, but there's such great need here in the city that we live in. What can we do here? And so the premise of it is just, it's women empowering women. And so the premise of it revolves around a lot of mentoring services. We work with domestic violence shelters. But it's really, it's providing those basic life skills and realizing the importance of having a mentorship role in your life. And it's a fantastic organization. We've been so lucky to have the support of the community behind it. And we're getting ready to be part of a turkey drive that we're teaming up with a project called the Just One Project. We're teaming up with them this Sunday, actually. And we're giving out turkey baskets to families in need to provide them a great Thanksgiving dinner. And then we're also taking part in some holiday contributions as well in December. So it's amazing what we're able to accomplish with just pure volunteers, with people who just want to be involved in the community and, helping those who really need it the most. And it's not in monetary value. It's having those, sometimes certain tangible necessities, but also realizing that there's support in the community. It goes a long way. It goes a long way.
That's cool. Well, I have two quick questions from some of the audience members, and one is from Laura. She says, "Hey Lisa, loving this interview. I am currently doing a pageant out in Southern California. If you could talk to the younger version of yourself, what advice would you give that person who's just entering the pageant world?"
I would say be transparent. Be authentic and be transparent. A lot of people feel like they need to have a canned answer or an answer that they think the judges want to hear. The judges are people just like you, and they're nervous too. They're nervous too, and they're nervous for you, and they want to like you. Remember that. The judges want to like you. So just go in there and be yourself, and remember that should you have the privilege of winning the title, it is a year of service, and I mean it in every sense of the word. You want to be out there in the community. You want to be giving back to the community, and you've touched on it before, be the best version of yourself. This is your time to shine, and don't let anyone tell you that you have certain impediments, whether it's height or weight or clothing or whatever it is. If you're the winner that they're looking for, it's going to shine through.
Okay. This next question is from Natalie, and Natalie wanted to know, why did you want to do cupcakes for your food business? Do you feel that cupcakes are, a booming industry, or was that just what was in front of you? I guess what she's trying to ask is as an entrepreneur, what is the potential behind the cupcake industry, or was it just, I just really love this concept with this individual, I just did it?
I loved the concept of alcohol cupcakes for the city of Las Vegas. I think if we lived in a non-destination city or less of a destination city, I don't know how successful it would be. But because Las Vegas is a destination city and people from all over the world come here every single week, we have a fresh influx. We don't have a tourist season. All year is tourist season. So it was just the right fit in relation to having a fun niche market, having a demographic that's serviceable year-round, and realizing that I'm able to do it with one of my best friends, and we can hire our friends to help us. It just adds to the environment. Our company culture is about being fun and being productive, and the consumer experience, making sure the consumer experience is a positive, fun experience. And so if everyone's on board with that, you can pretty much have the blueprint for any successful business. Okay,
cool. Well, before we end this interview, is there any last things you want to share, any initiatives you want people to know about? Because this is going to go globally.
Great. Well, I also just did want to share about our real estate business here, Elite Homes with Synergy Sotheby's International Realty. I have a fantastic partner with that. His name is Devin Chase. And we actually have Las Vegas's most expensive listing right now, highest rooftop residence in all of Nevada. It's beautiful, on the 59th floor, the Maloof Founders Penthouse. And we're so thrilled to be able to offer this in the community. And we actually just signed a marketing partnership with Lamborghini Las Vegas, and we're including a 2015 Lamborghini Huracan with this penthouse. So it's tremendous. And the true win is that Lamborghini, I mean, they told me, they said, look, we spend $0 on marketing.
Hello?
Hello? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm not, sorry, I don't know, there's a sound error there. Sorry about that. Sorry, go ahead. You're saying the last part?
That's okay. So Lamborghini, they really don't have to try very hard in relation to their marketing or partnerships or anything like that. And so we're very, very lucky that they wanted to participate with us and for the collaboration. And it's the first of its kind here in Nevada. So we're really excited to be trendsetters for that.
That's amazing. And where can people find out about your foundation, the one that you co-founded?
Yeah, so you can just go to fundamentalelementsfoundation.org.
Okay. Fundamental Elements. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I am so happy to have had you on the show. Thank you so much for doing all the great work you're doing for the world. And it's so awesome to see how you're leveraging your title, you're leveraging your entrepreneurship efforts to support causes and really inspire other people. So thank you again, and have a great day.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Ash. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.